All of this started energy healing, collecting crystals, and then sharing information. This is about my journey, and I'm a little nervous because I'm a private person. I'm sure you are too. So, back in 1989, when I was living in Hawaii, which was my home for more than 30 years, there was one metaphysical bookstore. It was Sirius, like in, SIRIUS, and it was downtown, so it was quite a trek. And I found two books that helped me start to connect with crystals. One was by Katrina Raphael, and the other was The Value of Gemstones, and they weren't even called crystals, at least back then. And I found some things to start working with, and one of them was channeling energy, and I thought, oh, I can do that. And it wasn't I can do that. It was, oh, I think I can do that. So I tried it, and it was one of the first experiences before I even really got into collecting crystals. And my first crystals were lepidolite, and it was raw, meaning it was just this big chunk, and I don't have it anymore because, during some of the purges of my collection, that one went to someone else, but it was this purple and pink. My favorite colors, purple and pink, amethyst and rose. And this happened to be lepidolite, and it was sparkly and had these tiny veins of pink, which I later learned, like a lot later, that was pink tourmaline. And lepidolite often has inclusions, which I didn't know what those were back then either, of pink tourmaline. So we had this very high vibe, but it was soft and subtle. And it was like a delicate purple with sparkles and then pink. And then the other one was a piece of black tourmaline. Right, black tourmaline. And I was just drawn to them. I had no idea what they were, what they did. Not really. And then the other one, I think the next one was actually a piece of malachite. And all three of those very beginning pieces are now in someone else's collection along the way. Every so often, some of my crystals want to go to other people. And so, we purge and do that. So I've got some notes here so that I could remember. Hello, beautiful. This is, hello, Tally. Oh, gosh. So my notebook, right? Because sharing behind the scenes and sharing my inner journey is not always easy. It's kind of like I really needed to build up the courage this morning to do this. And I've been wanting to share this part of my journey for a long time. So, all right. Oh, the first recollection that I have of actually channeling energy, and this is the prayer that I still use. And you can substitute a word. You missed my monthly. Oh, thank you. We have a new monthly subscription that is filled with all kinds of, full moon meditations, spring, the equinoxes and the solstices and other things. And I'll put a link down below later on. So it is, let's see. I invoke the light of the Christ within. I am a clear and perfect channel. Light is my guide. And when I do energy attunements of any kind, whether it's a third eye chakra or angelic light weaving, I still use that. And you can substitute the word Christ for whomever, or, like divine source, the angels, the light within. And it's about inclusion, or, including rather than excluding someone's beliefs. So it's, I invoke the light of the goddess. I invoke the light of source, whomever it is that you connect with. I invoke the light of the Christ within. I am a clear and perfect channel. Light is my guide. And I would say that slowly with my eyes closed 3 times. And the first time that I actually practiced this is before I knew anything about Reiki or any energy healing modality. And I set the intention without really having a conscious notion, because I didn't want someone else's energy to be stuck in my body. So I set the intention way back that any energy my body sensed would just flow in and flow out. The left hand flows in and the right hand flows out, even if you're left-handed. So I did that, and I just set that intention and totally have faith in it to this day. I was married at the time and living in Hawaii, and one of my then husband's colleagues was having problem with his elbow. I think he played tennis or something, and so he was having tennis elbow. And right out there in public, this is on Fort Street Mall, which is a walkway, and there's shops and restaurants all along. But we just kind of picked a little bench that people wouldn't really notice anything. And I just put my hands, I put my left hand on his elbow, kind of like so, and then my right hand pointed down to the ground, because I wanted the energy to go somewhere, but not just out in the ethers. And I didn't want to whack somebody energetically with it. And back then, it doesn't happen so much now, because I'm at a different vibration or layers of vibration. But sometimes it still happens that when my hand is over or touching someone's spot, and in this case it was his elbow, then there was perspiration. There was like condensation, if you would, because I was, with the help of my guides, pulling out inflammation, or I don't remember what it's called, but and I used to do it for my then husband too. He would have a swelling. Thank you very much. And so the moisture would come out, and it would be just like right here, And so after it was done, I didn't think anything of it. So, well, I don't know if it worked or not, or if it helped. And about a week, maybe 2 weeks later, that colleague, and I don't remember his name, told the man I was married to at the time that he no longer had any pain. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Knowing that it wasn't me who was doing it, I was just a channel for it. I was the vehicle, or the channel of the vehicle for doing this, the instrument. And I still feel that way, which is why I usually speak in the plural, because without my guides, without learning these things, without studying and practicing, which I still consider it to be a practice, without them, the etheric beings, I myself would not be able to do these things. So that's how the energy part got started. And I think I still have my original 4 pieces of, little bitty pieces, not even as big as my finger, some of them. It was green tourmaline, a piece of rose quartz, a piece of amethyst, and I think black tourmaline. I think I still have those pieces somewhere. I don't know where. They were my very first 4-color healing, and I would put them on my palm, not touching each other, because back then I didn't think anything could touch itself. And I would just use those for helping to clear my energy without really knowing that that's what I was doing. So how do I, fast forward, and I had a few crystals, and way back in the 1990s ish, um, there were a couple of crystal shops, not very many. And so then I started with rose quartz and amethyst, and they were quite pricey. Not that they're not exactly pricey now. And I just had this small collection. And then it was time for me to leave the islands. And so I moved from Hawaii to El Paso, Texas at the time. I'm now in Tucson. And several years, and I didn't really do anything with them. They were just kind of around. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that this was going to be my calling. And then I met some people who were close friends for quite a while. And I was invited to come, or to go, because I was still in El Paso at the time, to go to the Tucson Gem and Mineral shows. And oh my gosh, I was in heaven. Yes, it was overwhelming in a good way because there were a lot of people, a lot of people. But the energy of the crystals, it just kind of felt like home vibrationally. And I started collecting. And way back then, let's see, when was that? 2007 or 8, maybe 2009, I'm not sure, somewhere around there. I started out with tumbled stones because I was making little sets of tumbled stones to create what people call crystal elixirs, which is a bunch of tumbled stones for specific purposes to help raise your vibration from the inside out. And I did that for a while, and then I started little by little collecting, little pieces, little bits. So this happens to be dangarite, but it just gives you an idea for the size. And then this is aqua aura, and I started out at the El Paso Psychic Fair with the tumbled stones and aromatherapy and this and that, and that went along pretty well. And along the way, I got, or allowed myself to get sidetracked because I had been let go of from my job with the Border Patrol, contract employee. I wasn't ever an agent. And it's like, okay, I don't know what to do, and I don't understand, how do I support myself financially? And I started taking some of these courses online, and I had gone to a conference, and I kind of got, there's no kind of, it took a little bit, but I was distracted. I allowed myself to be distracted away from my primary focus at the time, which was the angelic realm. And this had gotten started, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because that's a whole nother story, actually, where I started attending classes at this shop in El Paso called Butterflies of Wisdom. It's no longer there. And oh my gosh, I think I was going to take 2 classes that year and ended up taking 11. It was amazing. It was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't get enough. And I started getting other crystal books, and I was really tuned in, and still am, to the angelic realm, the guardian angels, the archangels, and all kinds of angels. And this got started when I was attending a monthly angel meditations, I guess that's what you would call them, because we would do healing work. There would be a grounding meditation and a healing where we would work on our planet and then each other and ourselves. And then in the middle, there was a burning bowl ceremony where you would write out things that you want to release. Well, I didn't want to leave an empty space for other people or other energies or the universe to fill in. So I would write out my things I want to let go of. And then on other pieces of paper, I would write out what I wanted to bring in, because the universe does not tolerate a void. It will fill it in. So I thought, well, I'm going to fill it in myself to the best way that I can. And then the second meditation was some kind of journey to, and with an angel, an angel. And it would take me a long time to just come back from that. And that's how that part of the journey started. And after a while, people I knew, some friends and people from that meditation, started to call me the angel lady because of the connection with those energies. I started teaching about angels, and I've written a couple of books. And somewhere, so that was, before I got to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, and it was like, oh, look at these beauties. I was like, whoa. So I started, and then I had gotten distracted. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, and thank you for sticking with me. So I was taking those courses to learn how to support myself and to help others with teaching about angels and spirituality, raising their vibration, clearing their energy, even though I didn't quite know that that's where I was headed with those words and those terms and those techniques. And it was really about helping people connect with their inner self, their inner intuition, and their angels. So I taught classes about how to connect with guardian angels, how to connect with the archangels, and for specific purposes like manifestation, healing, and intuitive guidance. And I even taught a couple classes on how to give intuitive readings no matter what kind of cards you use. Tarot, oracle cards, fairy cards, whomever. So that distraction came a couple of years after that, and I thought, well, I need to give this up, and I need to do these other things, because it was all about being a part of the mainstream. Well, I'm not part of the mainstream. There are things that the mainstream does as far as sharing information, teaching, coaching, online shops, and those kinds of things that we use as tools to then share information. But I gave it up. I stopped working with crystals. Well, I was working with them kind of, but I stopped getting them. I stopped trying to find homes for them to be adopted for 7 years. And then I'm not sure quite how it happened, actually, but all of a sudden I'm not sure what it was. And I had kept these crystals in the closet literally for 7 years. They were just tucked away. And you know how your guides are, right? They give you a break, and then they go, okay, you need to start this, and you need to start it now. So I started putting some pieces out on my then website, which is now defunct. And that was a lot of work. So I started going to the Tucson Gem and Mineral shows again, and I would have friends come with me, just one, because it was like I wasn't comfortable traveling by myself. And the original way that I was guided to start getting crystals for my fledgling, barely there shop, through my website. It wasn't Shopify, it wasn't Etsy, it was just on my website at the time for a couple of years. And the crystals were natural. Okay, this is pink lithium. And I'm showing you these and I'll show you a few polished ones. So see, this is natural. It's not polished. It is straight from Mother Earth in that way. And here's one that is, I love the polished ones. Okay. And so I started doing that. That was the premise, or the focus was to find, discover, and then learn about these different crystals or minerals, and then try and find homes for them, which I still work on finding homes. I am kind of like the conduit. I am the channel, or a channel, to help find homes for these beauties that I'm attracted to. And I had gotten away from that because, let's see, when was that? 2000, maybe 18 or 19, I discovered palm stones. And it's like, oh my gosh, these are great for energy healings and attunements. And you can lay them on the chakras. And even when you do remote sessions, you can have the stones on the different chakras. So now I have a plethora of polished stones, obelisks, spheres, and palm stones. A lot of those. Earlier this year, or not this year, this is 2024. So then, we got into the polished things because the palm stones were brand new and blah, blah, blah. And now we have a lot of them, not as many as we had before. Later, let's see, towards the end of 2023, maybe like October-ish, I started to feel the nudge, the gentle-ish push towards returning to my roots, meaning the unpolished, the natural. So this is a natural, this is a Fenster quartz. And the energy and the crystals themselves tell me that it is a cousin, a distant cousin to Herkimer diamonds, which are naturally double terminated in different sizes. And let's see, because here I'm going to show you this because I'm being nudged to do so. See the Fenster quartz, and then this is a Herkimer, and I think maybe you can see this point down here. So I'm going to try to be careful. You got a point and a point, and look at the similarity between a Fenster, this one, and Herkimer's. Very similar in shape, and yet the energy is different. These are from Mexico, and the Herkimers are from Herkimer, New York. So we are gravitating, we're transitioning to clear out all the polished crystals, and we're not going to be getting any more. Let's see. Right. Okay. I opened up my crystal shop on Etsy in 2012. And then I got overwhelmed immediately because I saw posts and things about having to post every day, and I didn't know what they meant. And so I freaked out, got overwhelmed, and just put it, disabled it. I didn't shut it off. I didn't delete it. I just closed it. So like 2017, I reopened my Etsy shop and started on that. And it went quite well. It was easy to do, and this and that. And then let's see, this is 224 or 2024. So in June of 2024 will be 2 years that I opened up my Shopify, and then I put my Etsy on vacation for about a year and a half. So next month, in about 4 weeks, Etsy has been reopened now for a year. Because we have so many crystals, there are similar crystals on both shops we're in. They're different ones. It's been quite a journey. And how do I choose the crystals? Well, the crystals are chosen by the energy. When I am attracted, I mean, sometimes I go, ooh, look at that. But it's not something that wants to come home with me to then share and offer all y'all. And if I'm not sure, I will take out my pendulum. This one stays at home with me, but I'm going to share this with you. Just, uh, I do it at the plant with the plants, and sometimes at the grocery stores. Like, am I to get these? Are these the right granola bars? Or is this the right plant? And I'm no longer embarrassed because you know what? I'm weird, whatever. So I will hold like a flat because we have a flat, or it's a box that has different size pieces in that flat. So this was a big piece of pink lithium that came in a flat of what, 20 pieces maybe? And sometimes 2 or 3 flats of one kind of crystal or mineral will catch my attention, but I only get one because there are so many out there, and it's about not having 100 of the same thing. It's about maybe having 6 up to 20 pieces, and then once those are gone, we either never get any more, or it will be years before we get new ones of that kind. Does that make sense? If y'all have any questions, or I'm, kind of going off track here, let me know in the comments. So imagine this is a flat or even one large crystal, and I'm trying to figure out if it's supposed to come with me because they're shiny and they're pretty and the energy is amazing. So, all right. And this is Misty. She is a manifestation. She is kind of like a phantom because she has a crystal that started to grow inside and then stopped, and then the rest of it came around. So Misty's going to pretend for us. And Misty, show me yes. You can see my hand is not moving. All right. Show me no. Okay. So that's kind of how I do it. I will hold the box of crystals or the bag or whatever it is, and I will use my pendulum. I'm moving my hand so you can see that there is a motion. But what I do is, this is the crystals. Then, is this the right box of pink amethyst for me and my customers? And Misty's doing a very nice job of demonstrating that's a big yes. So then that box gets purchased from the suppliers. And what about the suppliers? The suppliers are ethical. And how do I know? Because of the energy. And if I have walked into suppliers' booths and tents at various shows, and even if I have purchased something from someone like a year ago and the energy's off, I will walk right back out and I don't get anything. Because it's important about the quality, the vibration, the energy, which are kind of similar, and it matters who the supplier is. Because if they're not ethically sourced, that's a problem. All right, let me look at my notes really quick to make sure I have shared everything that I have wanted to. I think so. Let's see. So that's kind of how it all began, was 1989, and here we are in 2024, and we're getting back to our roots of getting smaller quantities of raw, unpolished, natural crystals. And this is a beauty. This is a Colombian quartz. It is a Lemurian cluster from Colombia. And I'm going to be doing, oh gosh, a whole series on Lemurian crystals, the markings, what they are, what they look like the star berries and messages and harlequin and some of those kinds of things. As I learned more about Lemurians, there is already a playlist. I've gotten a couple of um, legacy videos on Lemurians in that playlist, and I will be doing like a show and tell. And this is Maximilian, and I learned some of these things, and I don't know. Oh yeah, you can maybe see it. No, okay. Here's the Starberry side, okay? And I'm gonna stay away from getting too far into that one at the moment. But we're going to be doing a whole entire video with Maximilian and his markings. And I have several other Lemurians, so I'll be sharing with you what the markings are, and then probably in a separate video how to access them, like the Starberries. What are they, what can they help you do, how do you access them, how do you tune in or activate them, how can you program, which is another way of setting a specific intention with a Lemurian or some other kind of crystal. And that's what we're doing. So I'm just being nudged just a little bit to share with you at this time of this live. And for the next few months, we are offering all of our polished, everything in our shops, all the crystals at 50% off. And then, so like right now, Morocco is 50% off, all the crystals from Morocco. And most of them, if not all of them, I don't think there's any polished in there, but we're still wanting to just clear some things out because we're going to be bringing in newer, well, I guess nothing's really new because some of them are thousands of years old and hundreds of thousands of years old, but new to our shop or new to me, a new discovery. And once we start doing that, it's going to be a shift. So if there's anything that you see in the shops, so for the next 2 weeks, as example, Moroccan crystals, minerals, and stones are 50% off. And then once that ends, they're never going to be that discounted again. Not ever. Oh, we've just got some, the Air Force has been flying planes overhead off and on. Maybe you can hear it and maybe you don't. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap this up. That's how it started, and we continue on this journey. So when I see crystals and are attracted to them, I learn their name, and then I do the research for metaphysical properties and channeling in the moment. When I'm doing the research, can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for each kind, not each one, because if there are 20 pieces of pink lithium, I don't need to do the research 20 times. I just do it for one time for all of them. And I will most of the time hold something or have it near me so that I can be sure that they are that what I'm researching is enough. And a lot of times the crystals will give me additional information. I used to not be comfortable with that because I used to think that people that wrote books had all the information there could possibly be about black tourmaline, for example. And hello, Annalie. And there were times, so black tourmaline is absolutely, it protects from negative energy. But what black tourmaline also told me is that it absorbs negative energy, which I hadn't read anywhere. And I had been asking my guides, the angels, so, how is it that I'm receiving this? I didn't really believe that I was getting correct information because other people had been doing this work for years, like maybe even decades. And I didn't feel qualified. It's like, well, who am I? Why is this information coming to me? It's nowhere else. I don't find it anywhere else. And it doesn't mean anyone else is wrong or the information is incomplete or incorrect. What the angels told me is that people receive information at different levels of vibration for different people. That sounds judgmental, and that's not what I mean. I'm not sure how to put that into words, so let's see. People, this is such a long time ago that I was given this information. I am given, and I'm sure there are others who receive bits of information that aren't found anywhere else. It's just when your path, and it's like, they're giving me an analogy to share with you so that hopefully this sounds the way I mean it to. There are lots of people who, maybe even millions, who work on computers, right? And they each have a specialty within that, or most of them do. And within that, there are different vibrations. Each person has a different frequency or a vibration. And then we me included, are attracted to people with certain vibrations who also have a match to our values. And yes, Tally, thank you. Tally says she thinks, I'll just read it. I think I get what you mean. It's like, it's just seeing a different side of a diamond. Exactly. Thank you so much. Sometimes trying to translate energy into words, you can get an insight, an intuitive hit like that, and then it can take 15-20 minutes just to explain. So thank you, Tally. That's perfect. Yes. Now I have said I'm wrapping this up like 3 times. So if y'all have any questions, pop them in the comments wherever you are, and I will answer them. And I feel very pleased with myself that I was actually able to do this today, because I've been putting it off. So have an amazing day, beautiful soul. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the chat. And thank you for any comments that you post later on. And it will get easier for me to come live rather than just recording something for you. Oh, if you have any ideas or you want a specific kind of video on crystals or even angels, we're going to be just want to say hello. Hello. You're welcome. All right. Until next time, beautiful soul, have an amazing day. And thank you.